broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Hello, everyone. My name is Joshua Hester from Kaplan IT Training. I am the program director for that program at KPE. I'm joined with the Portals team. Mary Ann and Amanda will both be doing demonstrations of Portals. I think out of a courtesy for those that might be a little tight in their schedules, might go ahead and give us another couple minutes before we start. In the meantime, you can go ahead and feast your eyes on our new LMS. I'll go ahead and show that to you. Okay, I think we've given anyone who's going to be able a chance to show up a couple extra minutes, and those that come in later, I'm sure they can jump right in. Again, let me just go through introductions for those of you who just came on. My name is Joshua Hester. I am the program director for Kaplan IT Training at Kaplan Professional. I also have a team with me, the Portals group, which is Mary Ann and Amanda. And I believe Amanda is going to be doing the main part of the Portals presentation. So what are we planning on doing today? I want to make sure we outline that real quick. So what I'd like to do is, instead of having a bunch of slides and a death by PowerPoint, which I don't think any of us really want, we decided to just go directly into a demonstration of what the new systems look like. And even though there's going to be a lot of new things here, I think you're going to see at the core, we're still presenting our content that you've been using for quite some time and love it and use it all the time. And now you're going to get a chance to see it in a whole new way. And we're hoping an even more flexible way than you've ever used it before, as well as also have some features that you may not have even dreamed were possible in our legacy systems. What I'm going to be doing is taking you through what used to be the old test engine, which now is a fully functional learning management system. And then Mary Ann and Amanda, primarily Amanda, sorry, I keep thinking Mary Ann first, will go ahead and be taking you through the portal ordering system, which is just a different way in which you will be able to have students go ahead and access their products, different ways in which admins can order products for students. And also, there's a little bit of reporting. I don't want to steal too much thunder from Amanda and her presentation, but I'll just kind of throw that out there. So first of all, what you're seeing over here on the left, or my left, sorry, on your screen is what's known as the enrollment, student enrollment list. This has all of our products that a student currently has available within the LMS. I'll go ahead and click on one of these, just to kind of give you a demonstration of what this new product looks like. Now, in a lot of ways, with the exception of the practice tests and the flashcards, a lot of these things are going to be new. And even the things that you see that are the same are going to be presented in a whole new way. And I want to kind of show off some of those features. First things first, we always had an about and ref section with our legacy product. And what this did is it described the basics of what that certification exam candidate needs to have in order to sit that exam and be successful at passing it, as well as resources. And in some cases, we even talked a little bit about the actual SME that was involved in developing that product. In this case, we're actually going a little bit further and putting that out front. And you'll see right under the getting started, about the certification exam. And when I click that icon, that then gives me a lot more information about what that particular exam is all about. In this case, some of you may be familiar with the CEH but this is the actual exam number, which is going to be helpful for students, especially as they go through the process of scheduling it. Any references that we use, again, we are the authorized test provider for EC Council, so not surprisingly, we are using the official CEH version 9 courseware as part of our references for this content. And then this me. And it's some really pompous guy here. I'm only saying that because it happens to be myself, that actually you would contact if you have any questions about the content. And in many cases, as I've discussed before, if you've ever kind of had a conversation with me, anytime that we have a student that submits a request, says, hey, I think there's some errata here, very commonly we find that's a learning situation. Another aspect that's new is the exam study calendar. This actually goes ahead and helps guide the student through their progress. As you look at the calendar, you'll see there's a lot of different information here, including how they can customize their calendar. They can actually go ahead and space these days out more depending upon what their study schedule is going to be. They also encourage to read about the exam. So if they hadn't read that before, they definitely going to do now. And this is really important. Having taught classes many times and sometimes having the same students sit in the class over and over again, it's very clear to me that students need to be planning to take the exam. And one of the surefire ways to make sure that you take the exam is schedule it for a date and then adjust your study schedule as needed based upon that end date. If you don't set a realistic time frame for your goal, the likelihood that you'll accomplish it is fairly low. So let's assume for right now I did set it. You'll see there's a variety of different information on how to do that. Go ahead and mark that task complete. Now when I go back out to my calendar, let me get back out real quick. It'll go ahead and gray out indicating I've already completed that task. There's some other things too about suggesting how I could use if there was any e-learning involved with that particular course, how I could access that, as well as even breaking down the first step you should use our test bank of questions for, which is to run through and just pretend like it's a live exam, what we call the exam simulation. And here it explains how you would do that. And when you're done, mark that task complete the same way. And you'll see the calendar constantly is driving the student, motivating them to go through each of these tasks and complete them so that they can make sure they're successful on their exam. Now here are two parts that may look similar. You say, oh yeah, I remember that, but they're going to be very different, at least the way they're presented. So we have what's called the exam simulation. Most of you are familiar with the term practice test. So when I click on this, there's two different modes. Instead of the custom mode and a test mode, we have what's called the quick quiz and the custom quiz. Now the quick quiz allows me to go ahead and run through the exam as if I was sitting for the exam at the actual testing center. When I'm sitting for the exam, I've got a time limit. I don't know whether I got a question right or wrong yet. I got to just keep hitting next. I can, in many cases, go back to previous items, adjust my choices. Not all exams allow this, but some do. And then as I go through this experience, I get a good feel as I'm going through this, having that ticking time, whether I'm going to be successful with the same scenario when I'm sitting a live exam. But we think of our practice test as more than just simply a way of simulating the exam. We actually think of it as a learning tool. And really, for that, I need to go to a different mode. So let me jump out back to my dashboard and then go back in, and this time I'm going to choose custom quiz. And here I can go ahead and drill down on specific areas. As a matter of fact, I can even name my quiz something. So if I wanted to follow the directions I have in my calendar, I might call this something like quiz 1. And then I can choose which section of questions I want to go ahead and drill into. So maybe for myself, maybe malware operations, that's something I really should look into. Or maybe I need to look into this section about security. Maybe firewalls is an area I really need to drill into. Either way, I can choose whether I want to choose all the questions, just the ones I haven't seen before, or any previously incorrect. And then we have show as you go. It'll grade it as I answer them. And then, of course, show answer explanations, which in many cases, for learning, that's probably a very good idea. So I'm going to launch this. And as you can see, the way this question is displayed is very different than our legacy engine. And there's a couple of things that's worth pointing out too. We used to have specialty items known as interactives that we included within our exams. In the past, we used a something that I think most of you probably heard about, some of the negative news anyway, Adobe Flash Player. So most browsers are no longer actually allowing you to view content by default, at least on their browsers. We realize that. And so hearing all the demands from various different customers, we've gone ahead and made sure that now those items have been retooled to use HTML5. But more than that. So let's say I was actually going to go ahead. Let me answer these questions first. So when I click on any one of these answers, for a single answer multiple choice anyway, it will go and tell me what I got correct and what I got wrong. And you see, I got the answer wrong. The correct option was actually the one at the top. The explanation then describes why that is correct and why the others are incorrect. And then finally, I have a reference, which again references the official CEH version 9 courseware. So let me show you something else that I want to kind of emphasize. So I mentioned briefly and kind of tempted you with HTML5. You're probably thinking, does that mean it's mobile friendly? Well, I'm glad you asked that question, because exactly that. As a matter of fact, just to kind of demonstrate how this is what is known as responsive design. Sorry, it's taking a few moments for it to update. There we go. You'll see that now all the icons have been laid out specifically to go ahead and accommodate the size of my window. If you think this is just the size of my window, you are incorrect. This actually will be whatever the size of my device is, whether this is actually a cell phone, whether this is an iPad or some other tablet. The other thing that you'll notice as well is that whenever I launch my QBank or exam simulation, as we call it here on the dashboard, I can go ahead and if I want to, download that. That's right. So even though this isn't a true offline experience as far as, you could just install this on your computer, which, let's be honest, if we had an install program, the problems that you'd run into is you'd have to worry about, wait, am I running a Windows machine? Does it support Android? Does it support iOS? Does it support the Mac OS? Maybe you got some users that are studying for some of the Adobe exams, and more than likely they're on a Macintosh. How am I going to support all of this? Well, the good news for you is you don't need to. As a matter of fact, with all of our 180-day products, we have a download option. What does that mean? Well, that means I do have to access the website temporarily. So I've got access now. I'm actually connected right now online. I obviously cannot actually disconnect, otherwise we'll lose this whole webinar. But let me show you how it works. So I can choose to download this particular QBank, which again is kind of a technical term that we call our exam simulation. And what that does, it allows me to go ahead and now access the questions just like before. But this time I could be disconnected from the internet entirely to go through those questions. And look, I can even read the explanations and do anything else I need to. Now, when I'm done with this, I can then choose to synchronize it. And when I synchronize that, that means I do need to be connected, and it will go ahead and give me the kind of detailed reporting that I need to see where are my problem spots, how did I score overall, and some of the other things that I might need to definitely use as part of my remediation plan after going through it. Having said that, I need to quickly point out a really important icon down here in Study Tools, and that's Performance Tracker, which, by the way, there's more than one way to get there. Really, honestly, when you're going through and you're answering a quick quiz, you can actually see the Performance Tracker when you're done. But for my purposes, I'm going to click on the Performance Tracker to see how well have I answered these questions. And you see by default, it'll go and show me overall how many questions I've actually used. Well, I've used at least over a third. That's good. And then it goes in and tells me what my score is. Well, that's a slight problem. So this is actually out of the ones I've actually seen. What percentage have I got correct? And it's a pretty low percentage. As I look through, it drills it down further so I can see, okay, what exactly was my score on that section? How much did I get right? How much did I get wrong? You'll notice it's smart enough so that if I haven't seen those questions, again, I didn't even attempt to answer them. I didn't even see them, at least in communication protocols. Then it's not going to necessarily give me a score. I won't get 0 for things I never saw, obviously. But if it was a part of a quiz, especially in quick quiz mode, and I just hit next, 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 and did not answer it, it will grade it incorrectly at that point. Also tells me how much time I spent per each section. This is really valuable to give you an idea for an exam how well prepared you are. In most modern exams, you don't want to be spending certainly not more than maybe 2 or 3 minutes per question. Some exams are even more difficult than that, and you really need to be thinking in terms of a minute or less to answer some of these questions. So that can kind of help gauge how well you're doing and how well you know this information. I can also compare it to others. Anyone else that has taken this exam, how well have they done? And here it shows me, okay, everyone else for these questions actually got 47.73% on average. Oof, mine is a lot lower. So it looks like that other people aren't having near as big issues as I am. That might give me some kind of gauge of how I'm doing relative to everyone else. I can even see, and I think it's even more valuable perhaps for studying, and that's the question time. How long is everyone else taking on this? Wow, I'm taking a full 20 seconds and they're only taking 8? What is going on? Actually, I think it's 20 minutes and then 8 minutes. I apologize. If it was 8 seconds, that'd be pretty amazing. And then the difference right here, oh no, I guess it is 12 seconds. I apologize. So it is 12 seconds because it tells me the difference right there. The other feature that I think most of you are somewhat familiar with, going back out to the dashboard, are the flashcards. With our new product, we have just I think, a more robust way of displaying this information. If you click on the flashcard icon on your dashboard, again, you get very similar options that you saw with the previous QBank. But what makes them a little bit different is that these are self-grading. These are mainly for trying to memorize those sort of components, those knowledge areas, there's kind of like little bitty facts. I sometimes like to call them trivia facts or knee-jerk responses that you need to know for the exam really, really well. For example, port numbers. That's a common example for most networking and security exams. You need to know your port numbers. Port 21 has to be FTP. You just got to know that. There is no way that you can, kind of create a whole system. It's just straight memorization. So in this case, which kind of tool only a hacker for defensive purposes, so they can think like a potential attacker? Oh, well, there's 2 words for this. It could be an ethical hacker, but also I would say we could go ahead and say a white hack. A white hat. And here I got the correct answer. Yay! So I'm gonna mark that correct. Now let's say, just for argument's sake, that I did put white hat, which is another term for an ethical hacker. I check my answer. As long as I feel like I'm pretty much in the realm, this is why we make it self-grading, then okay, you're correct. But it is worth pointing out that it helps reinforce the term ethical hacker associated with that white hat, because I see that that really was the intended response. And again, as I go through these questions, you'll notice not only am I seeing the question, typing in the answer, but as I click check answer, it literally flips the card over. Again, reinforcing the idea that these are kind of like the flashcards that you would use for the GRE, SAT, or any of those other kinds of study tools in a real world environment where you've got index cards that you're flipping through. The other thing you'll notice in the practice section of the dashboard is our training, a Kaplan IT training discussion. So let's see. Let me, I apologize for this quick. Let's see. There we go. All right, so normally this would not be an issue, by the way. That was just the account I was set up. So this will go ahead and launch the discussion board. And the discussion board allows me to go and ask general questions of other people who are going through the same exam, any other students, kind of letting me connect. Maybe there's a particular issue that I want to let all students know. And of course, our SMEs will be looking through these discussion boards. And as they see any kinds of questions that raise some red flags, especially questions about certain material, they're noticing, wow, lots of people are having the same problem. Instead of sending out an email directly to each student, it's a lot more effective. We just put that in the discussion board post or comment on an existing discussion board post, so that then all the rest of the students can then come to a consensus of what really the answer should be, or the correct way of thinking about it, or what exactly the concept was that they really had some issues with. And you'll see we've got different topics for all of our different vendors that we support. All right, let me go back out. We also have, like we have the old product, this hasn't changed. We value our content. Content is a premium to us at Kaplan IT Training. Unlike a lot of other companies that might go ahead and contract out with some unknown person, maybe from some country, maybe even from some area where they vaguely even know that individual exists, except that there happens to be a W-9 form or something associated with it. We actually make sure that all of our content is written in-house, or if that's not potentially the case, because we have a lot of content would churn out, we make sure we constantly review it and only work with industry leaders that we actually know, we meet, we go to a lot of trade shows. These are individuals that we trust. And again, trust but verify. We make sure that any content we receive from anyone outside our company, that we review it thoroughly and make sure it meets all the quality standards. So that's a really important aspect. And to kind of reinforce that, we always make sure that if you have any kind of issue with a product, students especially, and trust me, many students have taken advantage of this, they can ask any question of us related to the content. And of course, if they have tech issues, that sort of thing, they can always reach out to our other teams. But for us, it's important that they can reach out directly to the subject matter experts. We kind of think of them as instructors. So calling this instructor link isn't that crazy. You may have internal instructors, and I'm sure they can answer many questions. But when it comes to our content, we feel really proud, and we want to protect that legacy by making sure that if we have any kinds of issues that you see, we try to address those. And like I said before, many times we may have what seems like errata. Hey, there seems to be a mistake in this question that actually could become a learning moment where we can actually say, well, actually, if you study the material and some of the links, you might notice that what we said was completely accurate. It's just maybe you were thinking of it a different way. Common example of that are some of our not questions. Everything but not this. And then very often people will answer what this is. So we actually just say, well, it was a not, so you actually had to give us the reverse answer that you were thinking of. So here's where I could go ahead and write a question I might have. Usually we try and make sure we respond within 2 business days. And I'll go ahead and put something here. And then go ahead and submit that message. And that will then go ahead and alert the SME immediately of any issues you may receive that again you may send. And at that point, we can go and respond to the student, in most cases directly via email. Again, if we see that there is a particular issue that I think many students could benefit from, then we're going to take advantage of that and actually probably post that directly on a discussion board so that hopefully future students won't have that same question. Let me go back out to the dashboard just so you can kind of take it all in. Again, I'm really excited about this product. Hope all of you are too, because I feel like this is a whole new and different experience of how students are going to interact with this learning material. Now, I'd like to kind of go ahead and slide the presentation over to Amanda, and she's going to take us through the new ways in which your administrators can go ahead and order these products, and also some reporting that I think you'll find rather exciting. So let me go ahead and change presenter and hand it over to her.
Okay, I'm just getting my screen set up here. I think I've got it. Josh, are you able to see the portal now?
I am now at this moment, yes.
Okay, great. So as Josh mentioned earlier, we now are able to offer the portal tool as well to admins. So the benefit of the portal is it's a tool for you to be able to check reporting. So we'll look at that. And it's a way for you to manage your students. So you can set them up with accounts, purchase products for them, and keep track of them that way. So since we just went through the LMS and saw the product itself, let's start with the reports. And we'll actually take a look at the enrollment report first, since that's going to be showing the data that Josh is kind of showing off. So I'm going to click on this. And when you click on the enrollment report, it's going to give you a filter box. So you can filter for a specific student if you'd like to, or you can leave it blank and hit search, and it pulls up all the students that have accounts on your portal. Once you have your students here, you'll see it has the student's name, email, how many products that they're assigned. From this page, you can actually export the information. If you do so, what you'll see on the X part is the name of the student, each of those exam simulations, those Q banks that they've taken, and the score and the seat time that they've gotten. You can also click on a specific student. I'll click on this one here and see the information for that individual. And when you do this and pull the report, you will see a little more information as well, such as what subjects the student's been pulling questions from and the scores in those particular subjects. So when you click on the student, the first screen you come to is it shows which products they have access to. So I want to look at EC Council since that's the one that we were just shown. And then you have the option to click on the quiz Q bank here. So if we do that, it's going to show us each of the quizzes they've taken and breaking out each subject, the number of questions, and the scores they've been getting. So it's all on this page, but it's a lot of information. So an easier way to look at it is if you come up to the export button again, and we can actually get an Excel of that. And I'll show you quickly what this looks like here, because it breaks it down and makes it quite a bit easier. So this is the information in Excel format. So you can see here's the name of each quiz that the student has taken. And right away we can see how many questions were in these quizzes and the scores they've been getting. And then we can expand that. And here's the different areas that those questions were being pulled from. So then we can see which areas they might be struggling in. So for example, in this quiz here, they did pretty well on 3 of the subjects and got a 0 in 1 of them. So if we go back to the portal now, we'll look at the transaction report next. And this is pretty much what it sounds like. It's going to show the orders that were placed on the portal. Once again, you can filter that information. For example, if you just want to see orders within the past 30 days or so, you can set those parameters. Or again, you can leave it blank and hit search and see all orders that were placed on the portal. So then what you'll see is the order number, the date the order was placed, any pricing information, and then who it was purchased by. So if we clicked on the order number itself, we'd see further details such as what products exactly were ordered. And then of course we have the export option again. So if you wanted to share this information with other individuals in your company, you can export that too. Now, the other tools that you'll be using on your portal are the ability to add students so that they have accounts on the portal and then make purchases for them. So that's a 2-part process. First, they have to have an account on the portal, and then you have to actually make that purchase. So creating accounts is very simple. We have this tool that's add students. So if you want to add them individually, you can click on this. And as you see, it's a very simple form to fill out. You just need to fill in the sections with the red asterisk. So the first name, the last name, and the email, you would fill those out and then click this Create Account button, and that will then generate the student's account on the portal. If you have, for example, maybe a roster of students that you'd like to add to the portal all at once, we do also have this Add Multiple Students option. So with this, here we go, with this option, it's actually a template that you'll be filling out. So this template has multiple columns, but again, you only have to fill out the first name, the last name, and the email. And you can put as many students as you'd want to on that template. You would then simply save that to your computer, choose it by hitting this Choose File button and importing those users. So then it would generate, accounts for however many students you entered on that form. The other thing you'll be doing obviously on the portal is placing orders for those students. So if you're placing orders for multiple students, the easiest way to do that is to come down over here to the Browse Offerings button. So let me click on that. When you click on Browse Offerings, it's going to bring you to a selection screen. So it's asking what students you'd like to order for. Again, we can filter if we're looking for particular students, or we can leave this blank and hit search, and we'll see all of students that have accounts on the portal appear in the results box. So then from those students, you can choose which ones you'd like to actually place an order for. So I could grab 3 of these students. Once you've made that selection, you'll hit this continue button, and that's going to bring you over to the portal store. So you'll see that there's 2 boxes. We have the certification. So that's like the product that Josh just went through. That's the exam preparation, the ones that you're used to. We also do have our professional development products, which are courses with video segments with just further teachings on certain areas. But you would select which vendor you're interested in if you want to select a certification product. So I'll click Microsoft, for example, and then you click continue to see the options that we have for that product. So we have our packages here. You can click on the name of the package if you want more information about what's included. Once you've made a decision on what product you'd like to order, you would simply click this Add to Cart button. And then it again asks which students you want to order for. So you can pick, a few of them and then continue shopping for the remainders, or you can choose all of them and proceed to checkout. And that brings us to the review your order screen. So at this point, it's very similar to any online checkout process. So if you change your mind, you can get rid of a student, get rid of a product. Once you're happy with how that looks, you'll click proceed to checkout, and it's going to bring you to the shipping information. So even though products are online, we do still need this filled out for tax purposes, if that's applicable. And once you enter addresses, they do get saved in your address book. So you can just pick from your options there and click continue. And then the last page is going to be the payment summary. So that's showing you the price. You can enter a PO number if you have one. Just double check that the billing address is correct. And then this box down here is referring to the assignment email. So on the student side, when you purchase for them, they will receive an assignment email once you complete that order. This email tells them that they have a product available. It tells them what product is available, and then it prompts them to log in, and it gives those login instructions. So it's an important email that you would want to make sure that they are getting, and you can actually even add your own note in this box here, and that will be added in the email. So you can kind of customize that. So for example, if you say, please go in and take your first quiz by Friday or something, you can enter that message here and the students will see that on their email. If for any reason you wanted to suppress that email, you can click this box here. It says do not send. If you do that, though, just keep in mind that once you place the order, the student is not getting notified, so they may not know to log in and access their products. So in most cases, you will want that to go out. And then once you click place your order, the next screen is going to be either asking for a credit card if you want your portal set up as credit card pay, or if you have it set up as a billable portal, you'll be billed at a later date and you'll just receive your confirmation number. The other tool that we have is the Manage Students tool. So I'll click on this one. So this is just to help you manage your student accounts. Once again, you can use the filter boxes up here, or you can leave them blank and hit search and get a list of all students that have accounts on your portal. So you can export this information. So if you ever want just a list of all your students and their emails, this is a quick way to get that list. You can simply export. Once you click on a specific student, if I click on myself, for example, this little toolbar becomes active and we can use the resources in here as well. So we can actually get back to that order product screen. So if we click this, we'll go right back to that portal store page and we can purchase a product for this particular student. We can see their details, so this would be their email information, that type of thing. We can edit those if we have to update that. Student notes would be a note that you, as an admin, can add to the student's account, something that only admins can see. Students would not see that. You can send an email to the student. You can unlock them. So if they happen to get their password wrong when they're trying to log into the portal, get locked out, they can contact our tech support team during our hours, but you will also have the option to unlock them. The login as student is a pretty neat feature. So this would actually bring you back to the LMS that Josh was showing us. So it would put you into the student's LMS as read-only access. So for example, if you wanted to go in there and take a closer look at their performance tracker, you can click this option. It'll put you into their LMS. You can look at those different test results, but you can't actually affect the student's progress in any way. Student password reset, so exactly what it sounds like. If they need a password reset sent to them, you can do so by clicking this option. And then we do have a way to get back to those reports here as well. So if you want to see the student's transactions or the student's enrollments, you can actually get there from this toolbar as well. And one thing I forgot to mention is the portals are customizable. So, we can add logos up here. We can change, the colors if you'd like those to match. We can put custom messages. So one of the benefits of these is that we can make them very customizable to your company. And the students, as far as their experience goes, for the most part, they'll be coming to the portal simply to log in to their courses. So once they log in with their credentials, which again, you can set up yourself by adding the students, the add student option, that will automatically generate those credentials. If you want, we can even set portals up so that students themselves can create their accounts. So that would be up to you. Just you can limit that if you'd like to, or you can hand that over to the students to do themselves. But they would simply log into the portal by clicking the login button. I'll log out here so we can see what that looks like. And then they would enter their credentials here. And once they're logged in, they can click the Access Courses button and travel to the LMS. But that sums up what I wanted to show on the portal side. Josh or Marianne, is there anything else that I should go into?
I think you covered it, Amanda. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So I guess now it's time for the Q&A. Are there any particular questions any of you have, either for myself, Amanda, or Marianne, that we can answer as far as the portals or the LMS? Okay, we've got one question here. Actually, got a couple now. I missed a portion of this. Is the video downloadable? Yes, we are recording the session, and we'll make sure we share that. Great question. Thank you. So funny, if I put my DJ hat on, what we have right now is what's called dead air. But if I put my instructor hat on, this is pondering time. Oh, here we go. When will old portal access end for students? That's a really good question. So we are turning off our legacy systems. The plan is 3/31 of 2018. So that's March 31st of 2018. That is the goal. We also want to try to see if we can transition as many of you around the November 8th date to start new purchases. Because again, we don't want the student experience to be especially the case where they buy something and then, by 3/31 they can no longer access it. So we want to make sure that we give students, especially new students, a chance with the new LMS so they can have access period that they, again, thought they were going to have. Because one of the unfortunate things, even though we can transfer students from one system to the other, is that means that loses their student history. And if you've ever studied for a certification exam, you know how valuable that history really is. So I'm hoping that you'll be able to get the best value for your students by trying to move to the new portal as soon as possible. And we'll be doing each of you one at a time, going through the training, more detailed training of how to use the portal, as well as some legal agreements that we need you to sign as well to move over to the new system. Okay. Also, students required to submit scores. They still have the option to do that. We'll have to go in and check. It's a great question. I think more than likely it's going to be easier for you to go in and check, because then you can do it on one big spell swoop. But the other thing too is through the performance tracker, they can go ahead and, if they want to, copy and paste, take a screenshot and send that email if you want them to, if you just want to do the same process that you've always done. Again, it just depends on your situation. I would not presume to tell you how you probably should do that. But I think, again, this is my thought, if administrators have access to these reports, that might be a quicker way of getting more than one student's information. My students often delay taking their exams until the end of our program, which means more than 6 months. Will they still have a way to access their exam after the 180-day period? Yes, there are a number of ways you could work that out. As a matter of fact, one of the things you might want to do is maybe you wouldn't necessarily assign access until after that period. Maybe you actually may want to go ahead and allow them to extend that access on their own. It's really completely up to you, but we can work that out. It is correct that we're only going to have a 30-day and 180-day product, and for most of you, 180 days is what you're going to really want, because that gives you the full test bank of questions and everything else that you're used to. We've found, though, that when students try to take an exam and they push it out further, a year time frame, for example, the likelihood is they probably won't take the exam. It's a painful reality, but it does happen. So we're just hoping that they'll get access to that. So just let us know if there's any particular students that you deal with that, for whatever reason, they didn't access it within the time frame. We can definitely extend that access. How will clients know exactly when they will be migrated? Thank you, great question. So again, from a standpoint of a customer standpoint, from each of you, what we're really hoping for is that as we communicate with you, you give us a date within that time frame, which in March 8th is when we'd like to start most of them. Again, we're trying to make sure that we give you some time to make any adjustments, but the goal is no later than the following week, that Friday, which would be, right now I've got the November 17th. So again, November 8th to November 17th. I think I actually said March. I meant November 8th. That's when we would like you to go and schedule the portal. And we'll be reaching out to you to sign the new agreements out of the portal. Again, after you've transitioned to new portal, let me emphasize this, you will no longer be ordering new products with the old portal. That's an important distinction to mark. Now, again, your existing customers, they're fine. If they've already sold them a product, they're already accessing it, they can continue access as they have in the past. One thing that will change, however, is as we go through this teach out, it's worth noting that we will have in December a new retail website. So you might not be surprised if some students start going and chirping up and saying, wait, what are we doing now? We want this new product that everyone else has on the public side. So we're trying to give you that extra, that kind of extra time to integrate that in, kind of giving you the sneak preview really that you can share with your students ahead of time before the general audience gets access to the new systems. Great questions. Any others? This is a great question. So the question is, what happens to codes issued but not activated yet? You're going to need to contact, and I think most of you use Kathy Zim as your contact, but whoever your CEM is, and again, you can go to your account executive first if you don't normally do business with the CEM, and just make sure we change those codes. The goal is that we will be able to support codes in the new system, but also there's new ways you can do business that you haven't done before. So for example, if in most cases you just did codes because that was just the way we we had things set up before because they had to go ahead and redeem them on the retail site. We actually have ways now that if you want, you could have students directly go ahead and make purchases, or admins make purchases on their behalf if they know which students are going to be in that class. So to answer your question directly, any existing codes we will certainly exchange, and especially those not activated, you probably want to make sure that you let us know what those codes are so we can send you the right codes that you'll need for the new system. Thank you. Great question. Okay, if there are no more questions, which there might be one that just kind of crops up, so I'm trying not to, if it sounds like I'm trying to go ahead and stretch, I am stretching a little bit, just making sure everyone gets a chance to ask their question. I thank all of you for taking some moments out of your time to kind of see this demonstration, to hear what we had to say. I'm really excited. I cannot wait for this new system. I think your students are going to love it, and I think your admins might actually really appreciate what kind of capabilities and features that you're going to get with this product. I think it's going to be light years different than what you had before. And did I mention mobile? I'm sorry, I'm really excited about that because that's one of the common requests that we have received is, hey, is it mobile friendly? And finally, I can actually say yes, definitively yes, it is mobile friendly, and even supports if you want to work on a product while you're on the train, you hit a tunnel where there's no connection, just download it, work on it, and then when you're done, go ahead and upload that score to the cloud. So I'm really excited about it. Again, if you have any further questions, you would definitely want to reach out to your account executive, either Delvin Benjamin or Farah. Either one of them will go ahead and answer those questions. And then, of course, feel free if you have any other kinds of questions like that. I might be able to reach out to you as well as Marianne, and, of course, Amanda. And we'll be in definite contact with you as we transition you from the old systems to the new portals as we go through that process. Again, start on November 8th, but if you can give us a date, that would make it even easier for us, because otherwise we want to knock on your door and you can just tell us, hey, I'm ready for the new stuff. Go and sign me up. All right. Thank you, guys. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Marianne. Thank you, Amanda.
Thank you.
Everyone, bye.
Bye.
Bye.